So ever since the election, there's been a conversation underway about how this was going to be a historic opening to immigration reform. This feels like the week in which we actually started to move down that path and maybe even found a little bit of common ground on the way.
Yeah, I think we actually found a lot of common ground. On Monday, 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats in the Senate released their framework for a comprehensive immigration bill. And in fact, it's very similar to what Barack Obama has long said that he wants. The next day on Tuesday, President Obama gave a speech on immigration, released some of his own principles. Again, there are some differences, and those will have to be worked out. Some of them will be difficult. But everybody is rowing in the same direction. So I think that those who, seem to think the stars are aligned for immigration this year have cause for optimism.
It's kind of hard to avoid the feeling that everybody's looking around at each other and say, "What? We're agreeing on something?" So because it's going to have to go wrong.
City.
Yeah, that's right. Something's going wrong.
Well, that raises a question because Latino advocates, in particular, immigration advocates, want to see Barack Obama take a leadership role in the whole debate. And yet, if things are moving well enough without him, does he need to intervene, or can he hang back?
I think he has a balance that he has to strike. He needs to be seen as engaged. He needs to be pushing the process along. But if he gets out too far in front and if this becomes an Obama bill, then all of a sudden you have all the unity and the good feeling and the sense that Republicans are driving this as well could go away.
What are the flashpoints? Where is it where they have differences, the Republicans and the Democrats and the Senate and the President?
Right. There are a couple big things and some small things. One of the big things is how are they going to, they all agree that people who are in the country illegally now, about 11 million of them, deserve a path to citizenship, a way to eventually become American citizens. But how long is that path, and what has to happen for that path? And what the Senate framework said was that first, before you ever get on that path, before you get a green card, there has to be border security put in place. And so the question, and also a system to track people who come into the country on visas and make sure that they leave. So the question is, how stringent are those goals going to be, and how are you going to measure them?
And who decides when the border is secure?
Is it an amorphous, operational control of the border, which no one ever really knows what that means, or is it sort of very easily measurable metrics where everyone will know either we've reached it or we haven't? So that's one of the big questions that I think is open. And then there's some smaller questions, for instance, about like gay and lesbian couples. Will they be allowed to sponsor their partners for citizenship? That's obviously a question that's really not about immigration. It's really about gay rights, but it works its way into this debate.
The guy who really, I thought, created the most space for this week was probably Marco Rubio, because he went around to conservative audiences, conservative talk show hosts, and made the case for comprehensive immigration reform.
Well, I talked to the White House about this a little bit, and they pointed to Rubio in particular, and they said that Rubio's position on this is most significant. And think about where we were a year ago when we're watching Republican debates where the candidates were competing with one another to come out with the stricter immigration policy, where people, you had Herman Cain talking about alligators and moats and electrified fences, and now you have Rubio saying, hey, we can get behind some kind of comprehensive package.
And the amazing thing about Rubio is that what he's saying is not that much different than what John McCain has said or what Lindsey Graham has said, but it's heard in a different way when it's from him, because he's someone who isn't scarred by these past battles and is actually really adored by conservatives in the Republican Party.
Laura, how important is this to Obama, given that he promised immigration reform in the 2008 campaign? If he pulls this off and he succeeds, and this has eluded past presidents, past Congresses, how significant is this as a part of his legacy?
I think it's huge, and I think it'll be a huge failure if he doesn't get it, especially given what we're talking about here about how everything is lined up for it. If somehow this doesn't happen.
And that, by the way, is why I don't think he's going to hang back. I mean, for 4 years he heard Latino groups criticize him for, why aren't you pushing this? I don't think he's going to now, even though I agree with you, they kind of say, well, this is going fine, hang back a little bit. I don't think he's going to.
And I think the other thing is that it would have consequences beyond immigration. It would be a good time for Congress to actually be able to agree on something.